what age should young people have to get out the house?
Mm.
At what age should young people have to get out the house? I'm really curious, like, what age should they have to get out? Because there was a guy in the store the other day that was complaining during during his checkout, complaining about a young man still living at home.
Mm.
And so I joined the conversation because he was working with one of the associates, talking to them, and she was an older woman, and she was just kind of like nodding her head and not actually engaging him or whatever, but he was just yapping. And so I was like, fuck it, it's slow, I'll yap too. And my first remark was that it's not as cheap as it used to be,
Mm-hmm.
10, 15 years ago. And I went on to say that only in America do we think that like 18-year-olds should get out the house.
Mm.
In most other countries, people stay home until they're at least 25, 26, and or trying to get married, right? Like you've
Mm-hmm.
proposed to somebody and you're about to be married. And so you should probably get out of the house for a year or two as you matriculate that part of your life. He keeps carrying on, talking about well, he makes enough money and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm thinking it's somebody who's like 30 or some shit, which that's kind of fucking old. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, if you fucking 30, then yeah, you probably should get out of the house. But the person that he was talking about was 22.
We need to stop kicking our kids out as soon as they turn 18. That's the problem with America. And that's the reason why these girls become hoes. These young men become idiots, drug addicts, doing dumb stuff. We need to keep the kids at home. We need to let them grow, and we need to be their mentor when they turn 18 instead of their parent. That's where we messed up. Parents are wanting to kick their kids out. It's because they either had their kids too young, they tired of raising their kid, they broke themselves, or the parent had the kid too early, so now they want to go and be in the streets and be hoes or be a pimp or whatever. So you telling your kid you got to go because you need your privacy. That's stupid. I believe if you have a son, he should be in the house if he's not going to college, maybe till 25, 26. So now you being a mentor to him. I believe, as a man that has two daughters, it needs to go back to the old school way. It needs to go back to the way that she don't leave the house until she's married. The reason why a lot of you women are hoes is because y'all broke. It's because you guys go out into the streets. Your parents kicked you out. So now you got to be a hoe for money and do these things in order to get ahead. That's the reason why you see all these women on social media doing OnlyFans, doing all these things. It's because they broke. It's because their parents kicked them out. I really feel like, and I hope I can do this with my daughters, if they're going to be with us until they get married. Because you get to protect your women, and you get to, that's how you stop your daughters from becoming hoes. I don't think so. It needs to be like the old school days. It needs to be like how they do in other countries. The women stay with the family until they get married. There's nothing wrong with that. As a father, I'm supposed to protect my daughters. And the only way that protection transfers is when she gets married. But as a son, I believe you go to college. Yes, okay, cool. If you got 24, 25, you need to go out to the world and understand and get your protections and understand what life is and get your experience. Yes, it's a double standard. The reason why a lot of you women is hoeing, the reason why a lot of y'all women out there going to these ballers or going to these guys and getting beat up because they're able to give you money, but you taking the abuse, is because you broke. It's because your parents get you out. The reason why some of you men are coming out and doing dumb stuff, going to jail, robbing and stealing, is because your parents kicked you out too early. They kick you out at 18. Now you got to figure out life. No kid is ready for life at 18. That's the reason why you go to college. You've got the college life, but some of y'all can't afford college, right? So I agree. You shouldn't be kicking out your kids, because you know why? This world is crazy, bro. This world is way more expensive. And the reason why people make dumb decisions, male and female, is due to money. That's what it is. That's what it is. The reason why you have a rise in Gen Zers being socialists is because of money. They're broke. Their parents kicked them out, said, get out my house, go figure it out. That's bad. That's the reason why these generations coming up is lost. They can't do nothing because they ain't learned about life. They didn't experience or go through these things and say, you know what, hey, dad, hey, mom, how do I figure this out? They didn't have that. They just went out there. That's like what millennials did, right? I'm a millennial. So we went out there, went to college or not. We just tackled the job market, went to work. But how many millennials actually made it? You got a lot of people that are millennials that are broke, homeless. It's because their parents kicked them out, or you wanted to get out the house because your parents is too strict on you, whatever your reason is. Well, your parents should have said, no, stay here. Because I know what's out there in the world. We should not be kicking our kids out at 18. I'm telling you, if your kid hasn't figured out life, they don't have a scholarship, they need to be home with you. And especially, even your, like I said, your daughters, I'm really about protecting women. The reason why these women out here hoeing, bro, it's because they broke. It's because their parents kicked them out. I'm telling you. Keep your daughters in the house until they get married. It needs to go back to the old school way. It needs to go back to the old school way. So the only way you leave in this house is when you got a husband. Because, oh yeah, Marcus, that's messing up female independence. Look, being a hoe is not being independent. Being a hoe is not being independent. I'm sorry. Being on OnlyFans or dating these guys because they're getting you money, messing with drug dealers, messing with these rappers, and they beating you up. That's not independence. You might as well be at the crib. Sleeping with a man so he could pay for your rent. That's not independence. See, a lot of y'all women confuse that with independence. That's not independence. That's being a hoe. That's being a slut. You see what I'm saying? Keep your kids in the house. As a parent, your duty is to make sure that your kids are set in life. That's the reason why y'all want y'all kids kicked out. It's because you look at your kids as a failure in your life. Man, I failed. I fucked this kid up. Let me just get him out. Get him out so I don't see you. That's the reason why y'all want to kick y'all kids out. It's because they're an example of your biggest failure. You know, you keep your kids in the house. You become that mentor, not that parent. You still can say, yeah, you got to pay bills. You got to give some money, put some bills. If you working, teach them responsibility. See, a lot of us got thrown into responsibility. Oh, shit, I got to pay bills. I got to do this. How do I do this? How do I do this? And a lot of y'all didn't make it. A lot of y'all on Skid Row. A lot of y'all going to Washington talking about I need a homeless place. A lot of y'all out here hoeing. A lot of y'all out here in prison because you know what? You broke. You can't get a job. You can't pay your bills, so you robbing and stealing, and now you in prison. I'm telling you. I think I'm very valid with this argument.
22. I'm like, you're still, like, as a 22-year-old, you're still on your parents' health care. What's that age now? Like 24 or 26 or some shit? So, like, I mean, if you want to play it that way, then 24 or 26. That's when people should potentially get up out the house. But it's only in a capital-centric society that we force the thought of kids getting out on their own at 18. Yeah, kids with no life experience yet, ain't been to college, barely have a job, barely employable. Go and be out on your own. Pull yourself up by the bootstrap.
That's the biggest scam.
You want them struggling at 18?
Right.
In this case, 22? Like, I think 22 is still young. Mm-hmm. I don't care how much money or income the kid or young man has, 22 is still young, especially if you're in Chicago. Now, if you're in Ohio, whereas, relatively cheap in comparison, maybe you could be out and fine and dandy at 22. Chicago, you could do it. But you probably need a roommate. You probably need to be making some decent money.
There's no point.
But what do y'all think? At what age should children have to get out of the house?
I think when they financially ready. I think for women when they get married. I think for a young man, I believe after he's done with college, couple years, he got a solid job, that he should go on his own so he understands responsibility, taking care of a family, because he's going to be bringing in somebody's daughter and creating a family of his own. We got to stop being in a rush to kick our kids out. Now, you can stay here with me because we understand what it's like to live in a real world. That's your job as a parent. You become a mentor and an advisor. I'm going to advise you on what to do in your life. Oh, you need your privacy, but you're going to have to get a place and get a roommate. You can't afford it anyway. So we'll figure it out. But that's why you need the father in the home to talk to them common sense and be like, no, you're going to stay here. We're going to make sure you're right. We're going to make sure you got everything you need so you can be locked in life. We are supposed to make our next generation better. A lot of parents have failed. The reason why we got high crime rates in a lot of these places is because of the parents. The parents are kicking their kids out, so the kids ain't got nothing to do. So the woman going to go out there hoeing. She going to find somebody that's going to beat her up, but she ain't going to tell nobody because of the money, because she broke. And then we got these young men going out there, not going to college, don't know what to do with their life, don't want to work, can't get a job because they too young, no experience. So what happens to them? I'm going to start robbing and stealing. That's the reason why we got so many hoes and so many people in prison. It's because of the parents. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Go get a Patreon. Check that out. Boom. Check that out. Morning show coming soon. Daily morning show coming soon. No filter morning show. Can't wait to do that. Take care of your kids, man. You got kids as a parent. That's your job. Make sure they straight. That's all I got to say.